Hey everybody, Mike here, coming to you from my room of the Ancient Mariner, and I'm gonna do one of my favorite videos every year to make, and that is my year-end top 20 favorite albums. Getting to you a little late here, but it's taken some time to listen to everything and wrap things up, so better late than never. There's been so many good albums to come out in 2020. I'm sure I missed a few. I'm sure there are some that would have made my list if I'd have spent more time with them. But these are the ones that resonated with me the most, that I spent the most time with, that I enjoyed the most, and I'm happy to share my list with you. Again, these are my picks, my favorite albums. I'm not saying that these are the most artistic. I'm not viewing these from a music critic's point of view. These are just the albums that I enjoyed listening to the most. So that being said, here we go. Let's get into some of the honorable mentions. First one I want to show is from classic German metal band Gravedigger. This is Fields of Blood. Yeah, this was kind of a late bloomer for me. When I first listened to this, it didn't resonate with me all that much, and then I gave it more spins, and the more I listened to it, the more I enjoyed it. Good album. Another traditional metal album from someone that most of you know. This is Ross the Boss with Born of Fire. Ross, of course, being former lead guitarist for Manowar. A newer one. I've seen this on a lot of lists. If you like speed metal, if you like dirty guitar riffing, first thing I thought of when I heard this album was kind of maybe a meaner, uglier Kill 'Em All era Metallica. The rest of the album doesn't sound like Metallica at all. This is Hellripper with the Affair of the Poisons. One-man project by a gentleman whose name I can't remember. But really, really good stuff. It's speed metal, black metal, thrash metal. If you like all those things thrown into a blender, you'll like Hellripper. Okay. Doom is not usually my thing, but I found this band on Ripple Records. Actually, I was ordering an album from another band, and this one caught my eye, so hey, let's get this one too. And I just absolutely love this one. Each time I listen to it, I find myself enjoying it more and more. This is Bone Church with Acid Communion. Bone Church is a young, newer band out of Connecticut. The doom that they play is not so slow and dungy and depressing as some of the doom that comes out. There's a lot of 70s psychedelic rock and roll elements in here. I would think, classic Cream, Jimi Hendrix Experience, along with Black Sabbath. You kind of throw all those together and you've got Bone Church. Great album. This one is from one of the new wave of traditional heavy metal bands that I've seen. Their last few albums have been highly praised over the last few years. From High Roller Records, this is Stallion with Slaves of Time. And what you're going to get on this album is kind of a mixed bag of lots of different things. There's hair metal on here. There's speed metal on here. There's thrash metal on here. There's heavy metal on here. Really enjoyable songs, good songwriting, good performances, great vocals. Overall, fantastic listen in Stallion, Slaves of Time. And just outside of my top 20, another new on-the-rise traditional metal bands. This is Spirit Adrift with Enlightened in Eternity. And Spirit Adrift, again, you're going to find great guitar riffs, good melodies, great songwriting, great vocals. Just a really strong album, enjoyable, lots of hooks, lots of ear. Anyway, it'll get your attention and it's memorable. It'll stay with you. You'll want to spin it again and again. Spirit Adrift. Put them on your radar if you've not heard of them. Okay, so those are my honorable mentions. Now let's get into my top 20. At number 20, we have original new wave of British heavy metal band Clovenhoof with Age of Steel. There's the guys in the band. Lee Payne is the original member here. with George Call on vocals, who sounds a lot like Bruce Dickinson on some of these tracks. In fact, when I listened to the album for the first time, might have been the song Touch the Rainbow. Anyway, I actually thought Bruce Dickinson was making a guest appearance because how much it sounded like him. So yeah, if you really wish Iron Maiden sounded a little more aggressive these days, I'd recommend this Cloven Hoof release. Not that Cloven Hoof is ripping off Iron Maiden by any stretch of the means. They're not, but there are some similarities there. Check out opening track Bathory, fantastic song on a fantastic album. Cloven Hoof, Age of Steel. All right, at number 19. Number 19, we have Genesis 19 from German thrashers Sodom. This album sees Frank Blackfire returning to the fold, and I think that probably enhances or adds to the chemistry that he and Tom Angel Ripper have had over the years. This album kind of reminds me of the Agent Orange days, that kind of sound. The vocals are furious. The bass playing on this thing is phenomenal. It's got a heavy bass sound, but it's a good, solid thrash album. It's thrashy when it needs to be. It's mid-paced when it needs to be. There's a lot of diversity on it, and it's an engaging listen. So Sodom, Genesis 19. At number 18, we've got another newer band. Well, they've been around for a few years now, but I consider them part of the new wave of traditional heavy metal. This is a Canadian female-fronted band, Unleash the Archers, with Abyss. Brittany Slays is the front lady for this band, front person, would be appropriate here. She has everything that it takes to be marketable as the next big metal personality. She's got a great voice. She looks metal. The band's got excellent musicians, excellent performances, really good songwriting on this album. There's speed, there's diversity, there's melody, there's everything you could want in a modern metal album. And I think that Unleash the Archers could be poised to be this generation's Iron Maiden. All right. At number 17, another seasoned veteran comes to the fold. Solitude in Madness by Vader. Vader had one purpose this year, and that was to pummel you into senselessness, and they aren't pissing about. This album grabs you from the get-go. It jumps out of the speakers. It grabs you by the throat, throws you down on the floor, and squeezes the life out of you. It lets up just enough to let you know that you're still breathing. And it does all this within the span of about less than 30 minutes. Some comparisons to Rain and Blood, just because of the time that it takes, not necessarily the album itself. But I will say that the song structure, songwriting is kind of similar to that. I mean, you've got a lot of diversity within the tracks, and it does it all the way it should. It keeps everything reined in. There's speed when there needs to be speed. There's mid-pace riffing when there needs to be that to kind of hold your attention. And the performance is excellent. The vocals are still what you'd expect from Vader, kind of the quasi black metal vocals or death metal vocals. I consider Vader to be a thrash band, not a death metal band. But if you like death metal and you want to say that's what Vader is, more power to you, because they kind of work that seam very well. So Vader at 17. At 16, what do we got? We've got another classic thrash band, this time from the Great White North. This is Jeff Waters' Annihilator with Ballistic Sadistic. Really good album from Jeff and his current lineup. The last few Annihilator albums haven't really stayed with me as much. This one really did. This has got really good tunes. This one came out of the gate early, and it's had to contend with a lot of fantastic albums, and it has stayed the course, and it finds itself in my top 20. So most of you know about Annihilator, just good old traditional thrash metal with power metal ingredients. did not disappoint. All right, at number 15, more thrash, this time from the United States. One of the leading U.S. thrash bands. This is Havoc with V. Havoc brings kind of a traditional thrash metal sound. They've drawn comparisons over the course of their career to Megadeth when Megadeth played thrash. Vocal-wise, there's been some experimenting over the years with the vocal style. I'm not a big fan of the shrieky vocals that were on the previous album, or that they've kind of experimented with, drawing some vector comparisons. I like kind of maybe a more conservative approach to the vocals, but that being said, it doesn't deteriorate from the enjoyment of the album. So a solid album, solid listen with Havoc with 5. Number 14, I think we're at 14. Another classic band, this time again from the United States. This band's been around forever. One of the first and foremost bands of that, just call it heavy metal, power metal. It's not noodly like European power metal. It's not thrash, but it's a lot heavier and a little more legitimized, I think, than some of the hair metal. This is Punching the Sky by Armored Saint. John Bush still sounds familiar. The performances on this album are solid. It's an enjoyable listen from top to bottom. And I think one of their best albums, probably since Symbol of Salvation. I think I even enjoyed this one a little bit more than that one. So anyway, 14, Armored Saint, Punching the Sky. Coming in at 13, a band that they've been around for a long time. They started as more of a black metal band, and black metal is not always my favorite genre, but over the last few albums, this band has done no wrong. And this is Enslaved with Utgard. Very progressive, very musical. It's Sonic Landscape. I mean, that's kind of sounds, I don't know, generic, but that's what an album like this is. It's a sonic landscape. There's a lot going on. You've got some elements of black metal that are always going to be in Enslaved sounds. You probably mostly from a vocal standpoint, but there are a lot of clean vocals on here too. You have some rougher sounding vocals that aren't quite black metalish. So again, there's a lot of diversity in everything. This is one of those records that you put on, and every time you listen to it, you're going to hear something a little bit different with each spin. And I think that's something that makes a great record. So yeah, if you're on the fence about kind of progressive black metal, give Enslaved a listen. And if you like Utgard, check out the last 2 or 3 of their albums. I don't think you'll be disappointed in anything that they've put out lately. All right, number 12. This one's on a lot of lists, and for good reason. This is another U.S. thrash metal band of the newer genre, or the new wave of thrash metal. This has been one of my favorite new thrash bands since they came out about 10 years ago. This is Weapons of Tomorrow by Warbringer. And just speaking of black metal with Enslaved, it's obvious that there's a love of black metal in this band. I think it's specifically, I think it's Adam Carroll on guitar who's the black metal aficionado in the band. But I think maybe some of his songwriting kind of pushes the envelope of traditional thrash and sprinkles in some of the black metal elements. John Kevil's voice kind of lends to that also. His vocal delivery is not for everybody, but I think he's unique, and he gives Warbringer a sound that makes them unique and makes their own. And this is not a disappointing album whatsoever. Could have been higher on the list, but it comes in at 12 just because there's so many great albums that come out this year. All right, at number 11, a band that I have not been real familiar with over the years, but I listened to this, and this one just really got me from the get-go. This is a fantastic record. This is Let There Be Nothing by American power metal band Judicator. If you've not heard of them and want to check out one of their tracks, I'd recommend Gloria, and lead off track, Let There Be Light. This as a concept album about Roman General Belisarius. Most Adjudicators albums, that I understand, are concept albums with kind of historical themes, but really, really, really good stuff. Sadly, the lead guitar player and chief songwriter or music writer has announced that he's leaving Judicator to form his own or play in his own thrash band, and I think that that it remains to be seen whether or not Judicator is going to sound like they do going forward. I've talked in other videos about how important songwriting and a songwriter is to a band and to its product, and we'll see. But as for Let There Be Nothing, Judicator hit a home run with this album. Okay, we're going to be in our top 10 here. At number 10, very happy to see old school bands come back and make an impact and still show that they have what it takes today. This is Cirith Ungol with Forever Black. And if you look at this, guys, a great album cover. I just love this album cover. You look at this character, you see this frost warrior roaming the barren earth. This maybe like the last of the badass, and that is kind of what you think is what I think of when I listen to these songs. They sound genuine. They sound legit. This Cirith Ungol's not gonna pummel you. They're not going to dazzle you with artistry. But these songs are genuine. This is epic metal, and it's just a really enjoyable listen from start to finish. If you're not familiar with Cirith Ungol, check them out, and you can see why bands like Cirith Ungol have had such an impact and influence on these younger new wave of traditional metal bands who clearly are influenced by the sound, and you can hear those elements in their product that they're putting out today as well. All right, and number 9, another old guard band. These guys have been around forever. I loved them, always been one of my favorite groups, and this album does not disappoint. This is The Symbol Remains by Blue Oyster Cult. This is just a great album from start to finish. There's a lot of diversity on this album. You've got a lot of traditional hard rock. You've got a couple songs that are straightforward heavy metal. Sorry, I've got my records have fallen. I'll adjust my stack here. You've got a couple of tunes that I think could pass for modern metal. There's a reason why Blue Oyster Cult was dubbed Thinking Man's Metal back in the day. I mean, they're not the most metallic band, but they do have a little darker, heavier edge than traditional hard rock that associated with their 70s and 80s material. And I don't think you'll be disappointed at all in this album. I absolutely loved it. All right. Next up, at number 8, we have a band that has been around for a long time. I've not seen this on many lists, and I'm kind of surprised. So if you're like me, if you weren't familiar with a lot of their older material, they came back in 2020 and delivered a fine product in Feather of Truth. This is Poltergeist. What we got here is traditional thrash with a lot of traditional metal in it too. It's not breakneck pace. I think a lot of some of the comparisons when I listened to it reminded me of Force of Habit era Exodus, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think this is some really good thrash and straight up metal album or metal songs. I'd recommend Saturday Night's All Right for Rockin', The Attention Trap, and Phantom Army was a great track on this album. So Poltergeist, Feather of Truth at number 8. Coming in at number 7. This is, I talked about Armored Saint being one of those bands with that kind of unique sound. It's not thrash. It's not a little heavier than heavy metal, kind of right there on the edge. And this band is in that group that includes bands like Malaya Rage, Metal Church, Armored Saint, and these guys were some of the originators of that This is Vicious Rumors with Celebration Decay. Jeff Thorpe is an underrated player in metal, underrated songwriter. I think he's legendary, and this album shows that this is a ripper. This has just got some great material on it. The vocals are great. The guitar riffs are great. The solos are great. Songwriting's great. It's a great heavy metal album. Vicious Rumors, Celebration Decay. That's my number 7. At number 6. This one was, I really thought when I first heard this, I thought this was going to be untouched as Album of the Year. And I just, a lot of really good albums have come out. This could easily been my number 1. It's been number 1 in a lot of lists. There's not much to say about it other than it is Testament with Titans of Creation. Really, really, really good West Coast heavy metal. Everybody knows Testament. I feel like listening to this, I felt like this sounded to me like it could have been a direct follow-up to Practice What You Preach, which is one of my favorite metal albums of all time. So I really wasn't disappointed with this at all. Is it the most original? No. Are they breaking any ground? No. But they're doing what Testament does, and that's deliver really fantastic thrash metal. So Alex Skolnick's guitar work on this is off the chart. The songwriting's really good. Chuck Billy still sounds great. They still write great songs. Great album, Testament, Titans of Creation. That's my number 6. All right, here we go to the number 5. This one was a surprise for me. I've been familiar with this band's material the last few years, but I haven't really loved a lot of what they've done. But this album just grabbed me by the jugular and didn't let go. I've enjoyed it from the get-go, and I think they've expanded their sound a little bit to be a little more memorable. You got to listen to it, and maybe you'll understand what I'm saying. This is Palace for the Insane by Shrapnel. Last couple albums I think were just not very memorable, but the songs on this album stay with you, and they're very entertaining. And I think it's a very good mix of new thrash and classic thrash. Check out tracks Might of Cygnus, Salt the Earth, Bury Me Alive, and one of my favorite metal tracks of the year, Turn Off the Lights. This has been a fantastic album. It's hung in there. I thought this was going to contend for Album of the Year as well. But if you like your thrash metal, check out this UK band Shrapnel, Palace for the Insane. Again, I think I'm the only person that's shown it so far, which I'm really kind of surprised because it's really good. All right, that's number 5. At number 4, another album that kind of surprised me. This band's been around, UK thrash band's been around since the 80s. Their last few albums haven't stayed with me as much as this one, but this one just really got a hold of me, and I would listen to it and then find myself wanting to go back and listen to it again and again and again. It's totally engaging from start to finish. This is Generation Antichrist by Onslaught. And I'd recommend, there's the back of it there. And I would recommend tracks Strike Hard, Strike Fast, and Bow Down to the Clowns, one of my favorite songs of the year. Like I said, this one just it stays with you. It's memorable. It's got a lot of hooks. Got good performances. The vocals are fantastic, and it's a great thrash album. All right, that's my number 4. Number 3 is one of the only ones that I don't. It's the only one that I don't have to show you. I wish I did. It's a fantastic new wave of traditional metal album from a band out of Seattle called Greyhawk, and the album is called Keepers of the Flame. There's something to, when you listen to this album, there's elements of everything that you like about metal in here. You've got power metal, you've got speed metal, you've got I don't know how you classify it, but if you like bands like the singer sounds very much like, I think, Danzig, and more so like I don't know the guy's name, but the band is Idle Idle Hands, and now they're not called Idle Hands anymore. I couldn't tell you what they're called now, but they changed their name. But anyway, that album was very well received last year, and they've just got that. He's got that kind of tonality to his voice. But there are some rippers on this album, and I don't know if maybe it's the power chords and chorus that sound like Saxon's Crusader to the hair metal intro of the guitar screeching Motley Crue sounding intro shame on me for not being able to tell you the album titles, but when you listen to this album, you'll know it. For me, every time I listened to it, I heard something new and enjoyable, and I wanted to listen to it again and go back and go back and go back. And to me, that's what makes a great album. It's one that you want to listen to over and over again. So Greyhawk, Keepers of the Flame, total surprise, comes in at my number 3. Loved it, loved it, loved it. All right, number 2. This is one of the few CDs I have that I bought this year. I couldn't get this on vinyl. I'm going to try to fix that. This is a band I've not seen anyone show this band either. And I don't understand why more people don't know who these guys are, so we'll see if we can't rectify that situation. This is Rectify, WRECKDEF. See what I did there? I'm not a comic. This is fantastic thrash metal. This is the brainchild of a guy named Matt Hanchuk. And he has Aaron Randall on vocals, who's sang with Annihilator before. Greg Christian of Ex Testament plays the bass, and drums are by Dave O'Neill, are credited on the album. There's the band there. Current social media lists Alex Marquez as the drummer. What a rhythm section that is! Alex Marquez and Greg Christian. This was produced by Juan Ortega, so you've got a lot of metal veterans involved in this project, and it's totally awesome thrash metal. There's a lot of traditional heavy metal to be found on here too, but the songs are just very well written, very catchy. The performances are very good. The guitar tone is great. I love everything about this record. The songs from start to finish. It's just a strong lineup of songs. Vocal-wise, Randall kind of sounds like a truly mean and nasty, pissed off Alice Cooper. So just, Alice, he's kind of become a character these days, but he seems nice, and, just imagine if he really was spiteful and angry and mean. That's how this guy would sound. Great album. I can't recommend this enough for fans of thrash metal. If the guys who watch this video, who have bigger audiences than I have, mention this on one of your videos. Spread the word. Get this out. Rectify, Powers That Be. They're on Punishment 18 Records. If you Google that, I highly recommend you put Punishment 18 Records in afterwards. If you just put Punishment 18, you're probably going to get lots of weird stuff show up. But anyway. This is fantastic from start to finish. I've been listening to this nonstop since November. Maybe that's why it's so high on my list at number 2, because it's the most recent. But I think it stands up with everything I've showed to this point. The thing about Rectify when I listen to it is it makes me feel like I'm having a conversation with an old friend. Like this material, this could be an album that stands up to classic albums by Testament, Overkill, Metallica, Megadeth, any of them. This sounds like an album that I've been listening to since the 80s. Now, detractors could say that, well, then it's not very original then. Well, I don't need something to be original to be good. I need it to be good. And this is not just good, it's fantastic. So Rectify, Powers That Be, highly recommend it. Go check that out. And that brings me to my number 1 album of the year. You can probably tell by what you haven't seen yet what it's going to be. Again, is this the most critically acclaimed album of the year? Is it the most original? Is it the most progressive? No, it's none of those. But to me, This album is something that the world needed when the world needed it most, and we got it, and that is Power Up by AC/DC. I absolutely love this album. This album makes me happy. This album makes me bang my head. It makes me smile. It makes me sing in the car. It makes me it makes me happy to be a hard rock and heavy metal fan. And I think that's what the album was designed to do. I love the album cover. I love the art. I love everything about the product. The production is great. The performances are great. If AC/DC does not ever do another thing again, then this is their mic drop moment. I personally think this is their best album since For Those About to Rock. And you know, there's not, I mean, it's hard to compete with something like that. So for that reason, Power Up is my #1 album of the year. And like I said, it makes me happy. I've listened to it an awful lot over and over and over again. And again, that's to me what makes a great album. One that you want to just spend more time with, and it doesn't get old. So those are my top 20. Come in just a little over 30 minutes. I'm okay with that. Let me know in the comments what you think about my list. Let me know if there's anything that I didn't show that you thought I should have. Let me know if there's anything I showed that you don't like. I welcome all input. Hit like, hit subscribe, do all that. Try to build my base, and I'm going to be doing some more videos through 2021. And like I said, hope you've enjoyed it. Always remember, let them know your metal, bang your head, throw the goat, and I'll catch you next time.